The murder of Robert Powell was calculated, planned, vicious, and only can be described as an execution, committed by serious organised criminals. Just prior to 5 a.m. on the 13th of June 2020, Essex Police were called to the reports of a shooting in Water Lane, Roydon near Harlow. Upon arrival, Robert Powell, aged 50, was found having been shot 8 times and later died in hospital. In the hours leading up to Robert's murder, he had been present at a party where approximately 100 people were there. 2 young women were also taken to hospital, having been caught in the crossfire. Our inquiries really centred on the location, speaking to witnesses, conducting forensic inquiries using ballistics experts to try and piece together what happened at the point Robert was shot and the hours leading up to it. This was an extremely complex investigation because of the level of criminality that we were dealing with. Following initial inquiries, we received some information that led us to identifying 3 key vehicles that were involved in the murder, all of which played their part. A Ford Cougar was identified containing the individuals that physically shot Robert Powell, a second vehicle, a Vauxhall Zafira, that was a supporting vehicle, and a third, a Prius, which we believe was there to look out for Robert Powell and identify when he exited and left the party. Having identified the key vehicles, we then looked at where those vehicles went following the murder. The Cougar and the Zafira then went to a nearby industrial unit in Epping, where the Cougar was left and then later picked up some hours afterwards. Having received this information about the vehicles, we started to build our case looking at CCTV at the scene, ANPR activity, intelligence, and lots of inquiries with other agencies around the UK. This led us to identifying key individuals who we nominated as suspects in the inquiry. Through analysis of CCTV, ANPR, and with assistance from the National Crime Agency, we identified EncroChat encrypted phones that were linked to key suspects in this inquiry. We identified over 1,000 telephones within the course of the inquiry and submitted over 300 telephone applications. Some of the phones that we identified could only be described as burner phones and were purchased purely and solely for this crime. The evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat telephones showed that Nana Rapong was involved in the high-end supply of Class A controlled drugs. He pleaded 2 offences linked to this during the trial. Other evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat handles showed that Nana Rapong was in conversations with others in the weeks leading up to the murder about firearms and ammunition. This, with other evidence, identified that a week prior to the murder, attempts were made to locate Robert Powell at a party in London, using the same key vehicles that were used in the murder. Other than the date of the attempt and the murder itself, both the Vauxhall and the Ford Cougar were not ever seen on ANPR or any other activity across the UK, so they were solely used for the purpose of trying to locate and kill Robert Powell. In the days following the murder, we received information to suggest that the suspects had fled the country, knowing that they were sought by UK law enforcement. Finally, in 2022, Nana Rapong and Isra Shah were both apprehended and arrested and extradited back into the UK. Nana Rapong was extradited from Morocco, Isra Shah from Spain.
Name your name for me.
Isra Shah.
Cool. Isra Shah. Time's 2 minutes to 4. Okay, you're under arrest for first instance warrant relating to the murder of Robert Powell.
The magistrates at Chelmsford Magistrates Court have issued a warrant for your arrest, and that's in relation to a murder, possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, and wounding with intent.
My team have worked tirelessly over the last 4 years, piecing together the evidence and information, and at the same time trying to locate the suspects that are outstanding for this murder. At the centre of any murder investigation is the victim. Robert Powell, aged 50, was gunned down outside an address in Roydon in 2020. Robert was a family man, and they loved him and will miss him dearly.